Alrighty, we have the second round. It has begun, and with it, hopefully, some higher level games than some great first round, some not so great. I guess that is the risk you take when you don't really have a seeding. Everyone just kind of randomly gets thrown in. No one was like ranked 1 against 8 and all that. But I guess even so, the 1 versus 8 may be lackluster and stuff. But whatever. Let us check it out. We got Defjam here, being in the top left as a Terran, versus Iamsorry, who has gotten Protoss once again in the bottom left here. He was able to defeat Mandingo 3-0. So let's see how he does versus Defjam. Defjam has a very strong Terran, able to defeat the Koreans Terran versus Protoss, a very, very strong Terran player. And Iamsorry, his Protoss was able to defeat Mandingo, so he has a very good Protoss. So this should be a pretty good matchup here. We are seeing that very strong opening of the Nexus first into a gateway and a forge. I like it a lot versus the standard. 3 barracks, fairly quick gas here. Probably going to see an academy thrown down real soon here, opting not to scout with... Oh, there we go. We do see him scouting now, a little bit later than after his first barracks here. But he is going to get his scout off, going to get that valuable information that he is against a non-aggressive Protoss, and will be able to plan the rest of his opening accordingly. He is going to see that he is against a Protoss there. The SCV did pass that probe. All of these Marines getting around here, getting as much of a scout off as he can, rallying to outside of his choke, which I do like. Going to be able to reinforce and prevent any kind of scouting off. Going to have another little pass by there, and we are going to, yeah, he is going to find out that he is up against a Zerg player, or for the Protoss player, sorry, geez, I had alt tab there for a second, make sure I was recording. I didn't know if I pressed start or not, so I had to just do a quick little check. So he is going to know that he is up against a Protoss who did choke. He even managed to keep that Marine alive, which is very impressive reaction time by, I keep wanting to call him BBRB. It gets me confused. I forget what his real AKA is every time I look at that. Defjam. Defjam. Wish he would just use his Defjam name, but whatever. BBRB. Going to just confuse Tony G a little bit. So he threw down a command center instead of any kind of academy, and he halted Marine production here to get his 2 command center down. So he's going to triple command center. Very smart and good response here for Defjam. Going to be able to play this accordingly. So we do see the double robotics facility here at the choke could be a little vulnerable versus the Terran player if the later game comes, and if there is a quicker tank push. Not going to be the case this time, and that Citadel of Adun. So I imagine we are going to see some very quick drop play from our Protoss player and see how well he can macro out of it here. Academy now gonna go down here. Still no robotics support bay for, or still no academy. Their academy is down there now. I'm just blind. Yeah, so everything looking pretty good here. Getting some gateways now up, trying to macro up. He is going to have the minerals for that. Just on 3 gas is the Protoss player. Getting double Reaver out, so he is going to try to go for that Reaver drop. There is a possibility. Yeah, he's going actually for Zealot speed as well before the Templar of Archive. So this looks like he is going to go for a possible break at the front here with Reavers and Zealot speed legs here. That looks like the case that is going to be, just from what I'm seeing right now. Doesn't really need that cannon if that is what he's doing. 3 cannons is more than enough to hold any of the initial pressure. Range is going to be done first, and we can see that Defjam is getting turrets very early, knowing that this is most likely what is going to happen. Also completing his wall here, so playing very safe while he gets his economy up and going. Is going to have siege mode done. A scan did go down. There we go. We probably have to choke here and in here. So he is going to know exactly what's going on. Getting some cannons around here to defend versus that tank drop, which is most likely what is going to happen. He should know exactly what's going on, and we do see now that the Reavers are out here going to try to break down this choke. There is going to be a siege tank here, which is going to push this back. But they both have some pretty good range. He is going to be able to take out the one bunker before losing any of the Reavers. One Reaver does go down. Not really enough Zealots to make this too useful, so good timing out here on that siege tank, getting it out just quick enough. Not skipping enough corners to lose that. A little bit delayed on the star part. He's not going for any kind of drop, so he's just playing this real safe here. Getting all of his turrets up and going, all of his scans going. This guy is no joke of a Terran player. He knows exactly what to do, Mr. Defjam. And so yeah, he has defended the phase 1 of this build here. I imagine he is slowly going to go into High Templar drop. We do see the Psionic Storm getting built. Probably a Stargate at some point to get those Chorus Airs out. Continuing to macro up a lot of gateways here. Engineering Bay is going to come out here and scout that this drop is a little AFK in right now. And not going to have any chance of getting in there without some kind of support here. Setting up these Marines up here to defend versus any drop play that may come from that top corner here. And yeah, we're just going to have a nice little bit of a mid-game tech up now that the early pressure of the Protoss has been defended. Terran not going for anything too aggressive, just playing very nice, getting his Marines up until he has the economy. Actually starting his upgrades very early too, so I like that before he starts pumping out all those factories. That will be the next case, I guess, after he gets his starport and science facility. He is going to, start doing that. A couple more scans did just go down, so he is just making sure that he is not missing anything and doing this properly. We do have 2 more Reavers out here as he starts to try to take map control. That will delay any counterattacks if this attack does fail. Again, not the most amount of Zealots here. Only 12 Zealots, going to try to buffer for these Reavers to get some damage done. Again, enough bunkers and everything here that this shouldn't do too much damage here. These Reavers are doing a pretty good job splashing up all this damage here, but reinforcing some of those Marines that he does have back at home for drop defense to come and protect this middle. Was able to break down this wall, but not enough reinforcements, not enough gateways quite yet to be able to reinforce for any kind of death blows here and yet. So we got a pretty good job for both players. I would say that Iamsorry is on a little bit of a time limit since he did invest all of this stuff, unless he can really out macro Defjam here. But Defjam getting his very good upgrade. He's just setting himself up for that later game. He does have a couple of SCVs out here I imagine are going to start building up these extra factories, and once he has a good amount of factories, he will be able to start pushing out when he starts being able to stay 200 on mass tanks. A lot of High Templars now joining up this mix. It looks like he's still going to attempt to break through this front here. Starting to mass gateways out here. A scan did just go down at the front, so he does know that High Templars are going to be out here. Getting that science facility, probably some EMP here as he starts to mass his factories up here at around that 10-minute mark, a little bit before that 10-minute mark. We have the first storm drop going to come out here with 1 single Zealot and 1 single High Templar. May be able to find a way in. Don't know if he'll be able to actually get any damage done, but he should be able to at least get in there with that Chorus Air covering him, especially if he joins up with these other dropships. Another push going to come in here from the Protoss player, going to try to get some work done. Is only able to drop a single Reaver. Not the best storm there either. Going to throw there, much better storm here. Going to get that drop in from the front here. Going to stem and drop the High Templar, but not in range. Does not get a storm off. So Defjam getting himself in a prime time position here, defending everything that's been thrown at him so far without taking any kind of substantial damage whatsoever here. And it's going to really be difficult for the Terran player to transition strongly into the later game here. It's going to expand all over the map now, so he doesn't just die right away to a counter drop into getting his contain into his main here. Yeah, gonna pull back some of these zealots. You don't want to be just throwing in 12 zealots at a time. Everyone does, or not everyone, but it is one of those things that is understandable. High Templar are going to also go in there and die. Wasn't able to save him on that rally. Continuing to just pump out High Templars and Zealots here. I would like to see him try to drop a little bit more. You really do want to try to spread out the Terran as much as you can. Like I said, even if you drop some Zealots over here and some Reavers, just to make sure he has to move some of this army around, because right now he is in a pretty good defensive position here. Just having all of his infrastructure up and now just massing up turrets before he feels comfortable enough to push out. Usually the Terran will push out after they defend one of these attacks, so he may decide to do that after this push here from the Protoss player. Protoss getting a very nice storm off there, and another nice storm taking out pretty much all of those Marines and injuring all of those tanks here. Wants to be careful not to storm his Zealots too much, and I wouldn't mind if he started turning the low supply High Templar after they storm into Archons just to get some extra DPS there, as he has successfully now broken the wall of the Protoss player. There we go. You can see these Archons up here, going to just buffer some damage for the Zealots to get in here. And once they are made, it is going to be good. The Defjam is going to have to start sending some more units to that choke, as his choke is now broken. And if the Protoss has a good enough mass and unit combination, he may be able to get some damage done. I would like to see him spread around these units a little bit more, but Defjam still has a pretty good supply here. Not going to die to this attack, I don't think. Believe he will be okay. He does have his factory count up here, and once they do start sieging up in these spawn, or when these, yeah, where they get spawned here, they do have a pretty good wall, a pretty good funneling system here, and we can see some barracks being thrown out here just to yeah, build a little bit of a wall in case this mass doesn't stop. But he is maxed out here, has a good number of barracks and factories now, and he may be able to start countering attack. We'll see if and when he decides to do that. He does want to do that before the carriers are produced, as carriers can delay the game quite a bit for the Terran player and cause him some trouble. Does have a very good turret, defense here, and it looks like he may want to start pushing out now. He is going to do one last scan here and see that he is pretty much going to be up against a max Protoss non-stop with the amount of gateways he has here. Don't know if he has discovered the starport here. Usually you want to build a ton of cannons in the middle and at your base if you are going to go into those carriers, as it's going to be a big time frame when you aren't going to have many ground units to push these tanks back here. We'll see when exactly he decides to start carrier production, if that is in case what he is going for, which I do imagine. Does have an Arbiter out here, so he is going to get those Arbs up, which are absolutely important here. If you don't recall, you can still freeze a big chunk of tanks, as units do tend to build up or clunk up very much so what they tend to do. A big EMP gone down there, very nicely done by our Terran player here, going to get rid of all of those shields, basically having the HP of all of these Protoss units. But getting into this choke area, not going to be the best idea for these Zealots. Still getting a pretty good amount of damage done and staying maxed here, but carriers have been produced here. So this is going to be when the Terran can push out here, as there's not going to be much resistance as these carriers build, taking up a lot of his supply here. Going to still have some units here, as he's not building a crazy amount of carriers. What, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 carriers are in production here. So we're going to have to rely on storms and cannons here to try to prevent this Terran, which is just fully functional Terran now, from getting to his main. Does have a decent sized bank. Very nice storms here. Going to go down for the Protoss, keeping the Terran at bay here. Doing a great job doing everything that he needs to do as of right now, but hasn't got any kind of hits on the economy. It'd be nice if he got a couple of storms off. You can see they are tied in worker count. Opting to not even siege some of these tanks to stop the splash damage from the zealots here. Another storm going to go down there, injuring a lot of units. But just not many cannons here to slow this army down. Carriers are nearly out. Don't think we have... No, we don't have ghosts ready or many starports at all to counter these tanks. So we'll see if he's just going to rely on Goliath perhaps to do it. Sometimes they can be annoying to use as the carriers have a lot of space area to run away and get some damage done. Very nice storms going down here, really making it not the easiest for the Terran, or yes, for the Terran to get out here. But he has now broken that initial choke. Most of his gateways were out in the middle here, so he isn't going to have too many gateways back at home, and his carriers are going to be across the map. So we'll see if he decides to defend with these carriers or do a kind of base trade with it. I think he just did scan those carriers now, as we see him scanning all around the map to look for expansions. Nothing really back at home for our Protoss player. So if he does so decide to counterattack, he may be good here. Maybe a little misrally here from the tanks. Yeah, he's going to fix that rally. He does want to send them up here to take out these starports before they can mass the carriers. Oh, Goliaths are out as well. That is what he is going to opt for. Obviously, it makes sense here. Yeah, since he doesn't really have anything else to counter these. So, going to mass up here, while also sending some tanks. We're actually going to split his army up a little bit. Send some tanks down here to start poking away there, while also trying to take out this carrier expansion. This Arbiter going to be a very nice addition to this carrier mass here. Not the most anti-air. A little bit of a miss micro there, letting these couple Goliaths take out that Arbiter, but not going to be the biggest deal. More than enough carriers here to take out this Terran army up here. Tanks still being able to get some damage done, targeting these pylons before they are taken out by those carriers, as they do focus on those Goliaths and Marines here. And this army is starting to take out the choke of our Protoss player here. So definitely in a bit of trouble. All of that does get cleared up here at the top, and it looks like he is going to possibly send that down to help defend here, because he definitely has the bank to stay alive. Okay, maybe not. He's gonna count. He's gonna opt to counter now. What has he got? 13 carriers out, 14, 15 carriers. So basically all of his supply right now is in carriers, and nothing really at home at all. Even building the 2 carriers from these Stargates at home. So, but yeah, he's definitely okay. He may actually have enough to stop this push here. Pulling out some probes, a nice little stack attack here to take out some of, or to possibly get some splash damage here. Not going to be the best versus these fully upgraded ground here. These carriers going to try to go up here, but a lot of Goliaths, a lot of turrets going to prevent that from taking out the main. If you can get the main of the Terran player, all of its tanks and everything cost so much minerals and gas that it is a little bit difficult to recover if yeah, you do lose that main and you aren't this far into the Protoss base. But it looks like he may possibly just be able to eliminate the Protoss player before this can happen. All of these interceptors getting taken out, the carriers getting targeted nicely by these Goliaths, not able to have quite enough DPS to take out this main, while also losing everything at home here. So a very nice job splitting up his units in just the right amount each to be able to defend and kill at the same time, not wasting any time, not giving the Protoss any opportunity to recover, and that is going to be GG. Going to take a nice 1-0 is Defjam. not the one of his best matchups, I think. He is very good at Terran. He seems to get Terran quite a bit, and he is going to absolutely put on a good show there and take out the Protoss without much of an issue. We'll see how she goes in game number 2 of this second round of Tournament of Titans. Getting it. Game number 2. Iamsorry. Going to be Protoss for, what, the 5th time in a row? 5 straight Protoss games for Iamsorry. But he will be up against Defjam's Terran. And a little bit of a harder spot here. I'm going to be a little bit more vulnerable to carriers from this top spot, as he's not going to be able to get the most amount of turrets. We'll see if he opts to build his command center over here to give him more opportunity to build some turrets. There is some opportunity for spot abuse for the Protoss player if the game does get to that distance here. Let's see what the opening is going to be from Iamsorry, if he's going to opt for that same old Nexus Gateway Forge opening, or if he's going to try to do something else. A lot of options for the Protoss to open up with many different, very effective strategies. Terran, not so many options. Pretty much you can go 2 barracks, 3 barracks, 4 barracks, or try to get that double factory. But we do see that Nexus first here into the Forge Gateway. So he is going to go for this opening. Let's see how he adjusts. He is going to be a lot closer for those drops if he does so choose to do them. There's going to be a lot more area for him to get in as well in these middle spots. A lot harder to get a full turret surround here. Going to send out that Marine and SCV to start getting that scouting off. Unfortunately for him, not going to go in the right location, but you do want to check up this top on top of you in these spots just to make sure that you aren't going to get just spot abuse immediately. Is going to find out that he is up against a choking Terran once again. And let's see if he is going to go for that same thing. So far, yeah, he does. He does stop Marine production, goes to that command center. I imagine he's not going to build another round until he gets that 3rd command center up, as that just is the best thing. If you can triple S Terran, super duper powerful, and if you know you can get away with it. Actually, he is going to get a factory before, so he is opting to change up his build a little bit and a way quicker academy. So now that he knows that there's a Terran here, the quicker tanks is actually a really good idea, because you can actually put up a lot of tanks right at the ledge here, and ledge in the Protoss player. The Protoss player also switching it up, going to go for a bunch of gateways instead of factories. So both players have switched up their strategies here, which I do like to see. Not going to opt for the quick factory reavers at all, and is going to try to go for perhaps a Zealot Dune speed. I imagine we're going to see a Citadel of a Dune here. It does have that quick +1 upgrade for the ground units and the quick Dragoon range. So I imagine he wants to get that Citadel of a Dune for the Zealot speed. And it looks like he's just going to try to do a mass break here. Unfortunately for him, he is up against a single command center and a quicker factory and a little bit more of barracks here. So both players adjusting very nicely into the second game and going to try different things. The Terran player, I guess, more reacting nicely. I do like the fact that he only went 1 command center here, as the tank is going to be out that much quicker, and he is just going to have that many more units here. Opting to get a 2nd forge here to just help with all that upgrades, as he's going to be focusing on a lot of ground gateway units. This engineering bay is going to come in here and actually is going to be able to scout it. So another nice move here for our Terran player. Not only reacting or changing his build up nicely, he is also going to be able to scout that there is Dragoons here, which Dragoons do take a lot of gas that normally would be into factories or something else, and even going to scout out that this forge is moving here. Going to try to push in to see if the Terran is getting a little bit greedy, but not the case. 3 bunkers and a siege tank are already out here. Turret around the base have started as well, and he is going to slowly get a depot wall going into his base. So both players have a pretty good idea of what's going on. We do see a scan going down, probably at the main, getting a lot of gas now, so maybe he is going to try to tech switch out a little bit since his plan has kind of been detected. I like that he's building his gateways out here, as like I said earlier. It's most likely that there is going to be a whole shit ton of tanks here on this ledge, preventing any units from coming out of the main. And that isn't what you want when you are going for such a quick upgrades and everything, investing all of your early gas into these upgrades and not your robotics or anything. So opting not to even try for any drops, which I feel like is a mistake. You definitely the Protos's main advantage on these maps are the High Templar drops. You can just get so much almost guaranteed damage down, especially in a spot like this. If you come down right here in this area, there's going to be depots blocking where the potential turrets could be, and there's areas right here where it's just annoying to build turrets all around here, even coming down from the diagonal. Only one turret down here, so even just coming from your main, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to get some damage done. Going to push in here again with some zealots and dragoons, but going to be tough to break that Protoss wall here. Maybe a little bit premature, because like the more you push in here, the more the Terran knows that that's kind of your strategy, and the more that he can react with more and more bunkers. I do like to kind of just wait a little bit, keep the Terran on its toes, and then kind of go in when you're basically max or have enough, or like even his upgrade's not quite done yet, so he could have waited a couple more seconds just for a couple more units and for these upgrades to finish. Upgrades just make so much of a difference in a lot of these battles. Storm even almost done there. So he would have so much more supply right now, and just a little bit more of a chance to bust. Right now the Terran isn't quite rebuilding his choke or adding anything to additionally. Just on that one factory, just now getting that third command center almost completed here. So yeah, just a little bit maybe of a mistake from the Protoss player, but he still is going to be in a very good position. The Terran is a lot more vulnerable to die in these middle spots, so going for a mass ground strategy is pretty good in these middle spots instead of the corner spots. The corner spot is almost really hard to break the Terran player. Going to re-lift that factory and land it up here. Still not putting any siege tanks on the ledge, as he feels like he needs to have them all at his choke here. Could have picked off these High Templars here, but not going to be the biggest of deals. Just now the robotics facility, first robotics facility being finished, and a very quick Arbiter Tribunal also being finished. So he is slowly teching into all that later game tech very quickly and nicely, but right now I do wish he went for a couple of drops, because there's just a lot, not as many turrets were built this game as last game. The Protoss is getting all of his units out here at the front here. A full depot wall has been completed, and lots of Marines are alive and kicking, ready to do what they need to do. The push is coming in here. Going to get one storm off, not the best storm, only touching one siege tank. There we go, much better storm here. Being get one more off, that is going to kill most of those tanks here. A lot of units. You really have to focus fire your units. You can't just let them, you can't just move into this. Another nice storm here. You have to focus fire. Even if it's just focusing on the depots, you have to do that, or else the AI of these units will just be mental, trying to get these tanks, but they think there's a shortcut somewhere. Little do they know that it's completely blocked off by space and cliffs. So we have to see how well he's going to focus fire. Taking out the bunkers would be very nicely if he just focuses on these bunkers as well, if they can get that close here. Right now they're basically just buffering for these High Templars to storm. But the storms are doing a good job here, taking out a lot of tanks here, really injuring these bunkers, forcing him to send some of these Marines that are waiting for the defense drop to come in here. But that is going to be cleaned up yet again, and there's going to be an opportunity for him to just rebuild that. And yeah, again, the timer, I feel like, for the Protoss player is just happening again. If he's not going to go for those drops and just going to try to outmass the Terran, it is not going to be an easy thing. You really need to have a backup plan. Can't just be going full ham, but let's see how she goes. Another very nice max, pretty quickly maxed up here, with only one High Templar here. Going to get a fairly nice storm off, continuing to pick off these tanks and hurting this choke here. So he does have quite a few gateways that he may be able to actually mass and break this choke here, rallying in a lot of units from his base, and he has broken the choke here for our Protoss player. So maybe I spoke too soon, and the Protoss will have an opportunity, but there is still just a lot of Marines back here. Needs to make sure that he's not just sending in units one at a time. Does want them to be grouped up together, even if you just have to wait 1 second. Pretty good, though, from right here, having to bring up all of his defensive Marines here. High Templar, 3 kills, but no storms left. He doesn't have a full factory production yet. I wouldn't mind seeing, there we go, now he's going to split up these units a little bit. You really do have to spread this out. You don't just want them being able to send everything to their choke. Sending some Marines down here to clear off these turrets will be very nice too. Another storm going off, and these Dragoons do have a nice spot up here. No siege tanks anywhere around to pick these off quite yet, so they're going to have an opportunity to pick off some supply depots and some turrets here. So finally, I do like to see this from our Terran player, or from our Protoss player. 2 1-1 upgrades against 1-1 and 1-0 upgrades here. So the Protoss has a very nice upgrade, has an upgrade lead right now too, so he definitely has an opportunity to break this Protoss player, especially with his Arbiter now, going to be able to protect these units for a little bit in the cloak of Protoss cloak here. Dragoon's still alive, more storms going down. The science vessel's pretty low on HP here. If he can get these zealots on top of these siege tank, it is going to be very nice news here for him. Protoss player getting closer and closer to this main as well. He does want to keep these Dragoons alive. A little bit of a mismarker here also by the Arbiter. The Arbiter is going to get taken out by these bunkers and Marines. He really wants to keep that around this choke area just to cloak these units that are out of the vessel's range here, so they aren't taking quite as many hits from those siege tanks that can just shoot so far away here. Vessels, or not vessels, spider mines also being used here to keep himself alive as this Protoss stream is just coming in here. You can see the Terran actually is quite low on supply here as well, so the Protoss is absolutely in some trouble here now that he has no choke and really vulnerable right now, especially to some drops. If some drops could come down right now, it would just be so good. Even some Reaver drops right now, no siege tanks or anything in the mix here. Trying to get a wall with these barracks just being built here to just delay the Zealots as much as they can from getting to these siege tanks, so they can just get that many more shots off on them. These siege tanks just racking up kills, now having to use vultures even more so than ever to just take out some of this mass from this Protoss, as he has taken quite a bit of damage, and still no economical damage, and still no like production value damage, but he just hasn't have a choke established here, and that is going to be hard if this Protoss player can just keep getting in here. But to slowly whittle away at the Terran. I just really wish he had some kind of drop. It's just a shame that he's not going for drops at all. I understand at the beginning you can go for that mass strategy, but you definitely have to transition at some point. I know you can feel like you're so close, but like just a couple of Reavers would absolutely change it. If Defjam had to build SCVs here at the same time, as you can see that his economy is already really struggling to keep massing up everything here. So just a couple of drops would really do damage here, especially he's just really busy right now as well. So there's a chance that he can get a storm without pulling all of his SCVs away from those storms. Pulling a couple of SCVs out here front to start to rebuild hopefully some buildings here. Again, I like this vulnerability here. He is sending units up here, keeping them alive. These tanks do have a little bit of a journey to get up there. It's also going to be a little bit vulnerable if they do on siege here. Taking out some upgrades for the ground. I don't know if those were the factory. No, the armories are over here. But getting finally close to this economy here, and if he's able to get that main, it's also going to be very GG here. The Protoss staying max here, continuing to mass in here, smelling the blood here. More and more tanks or just siege up. It's going to be hard to kill this spot over here, but if he just starts massing all of his units up here, he definitely has a chance to get into that main killing area. He's going to have to lift these barracks possibly to bring these siege tanks up here to try to protect that main here. But Protoss in the Terran base right now, wrecking havoc. Not taking out enough supply depots too to potentially block them. You can see half the supply here for our Terran player here. 200 to 100. Protoss just not taking off the brakes here. Has enough gateways to continually be maxed here. And yeah, definitely getting some work done. He really needs to not send them into this all of his tanks here though. There's like what 50 tanks over here. Does need to spread out his units or just continue to go up here and supply block the Terran player, as he definitely could take out all of this up here and yeah, eventually go after that main, or even use the splash damage against him. Sending some zealots up here to attack those SCVs would be very nice here to potentially have the siege tank splash damage. Yeah, kill all those SCVs. Let's see if he is going to opt to send it up here. He's so close to killing this Terran player. The Terran player absolutely in some trouble right now. That is the downfall of being in these side spots, but we're not going to put it against Iamsorry here. Also opting to do a very nice, let's see if he's going to go in down here. He is again going to try to push these tanks. I guess keeping the tank numbers low isn't the worst idea either. There is some vulnerable tanks over here, but it is just going to be hard. If you get the storm off right there, that would be very nice. Let's see the storm right there, Mr. High Templar. No, I'm going to get taken out once again here. And just not the trade that you're looking for as a Protoss player. I guess also not the worst trade, but I would like him to continue to focus sending units up here instead. And just continuing to supply block the Terran. You can see the Terran knows that this was a vulnerability, and he kind of made these barracks into a wall. I believe that is 100% intentional, because normally his base is very, very neat and organized, but yeah, he's also only has a single starport and no science facility anymore, so his upgrades are also at a halt. He's stuck at 2-2, can't get his 3-3 up. His minerals are still quite low, only at 65 SCVs, as he has been pulling a lot of SCVs to try to rebuild his base, not at the factory number he wants. And the Protoss, yeah, now going to send back up here. There we go, I do like to see that. A nice little bunker up there, going to mess with the AI of these units if they aren't just yeah, told to attack a certain building here. There we go, we do see them now clicking on those depots to break down that wall. Tanks trying to move forward to retake their choke, but the Protoss mass is just non-stop massing up here. Just constantly maxed out Protoss. Another Arbiter in here, I do like that a lot, as I don't think the Terran had the single vessel, so a couple of DTs and just using turrets right now to keep himself alive. This Dragoon and scans, I guess he does have scans as well here. Not much anti-air and not much detection other than, yeah, just the Marines here. So, yeah, the Terran definitely in a tricky spot here. Can Iamsorry pull this off and kill the defensive Terran here that's just been on the ropes the whole time? Needs to keep these Arbiters alive. I really wish you would be keeping these Arbiters alive. Even if you just hold positions over here, it would be so helpful for him instead of losing them for no reason right now. We do see a very nice freeze on this big chunk of tanks here. Going to make almost half of his tanks useless right now. Slowly rebuilding himself as well as he can here. Continually being slow on minerals, but he actually has gotten quite a bit more supply up than he did have a while ago. So he is slowly, I guess, recovering while defending here. Half of his base, though, is still very vulnerable. The Protoss continuing to just try to pick off what he can out of the range of these siege tanks. Vessel now going to be up to prevent these Arbiters from cloaking all of these units for too long. Nice little repair on that starport. Looks like he's going to start trying to build cannons up here. Not the worst idea either, especially some cannons up here in the most vulnerable spot for that Terran player right now. Another mass just coming in, non-stop action here for this game here. Much better than that Chaylene Vulture series for sure already. And yeah, we'll see if the Protoss can break this Terran. getting closer and closer to that main. I feel like if he can get that main, even though now the bank is back up and kicking, slowly rebuilding some factories, continuing to have just, oh no, he doesn't even have units non-stop rallied right now. A lot of these factories are empty of production here. Setting up some of these SCR, these probes, to clear some more supply for his more units as his bank is getting a little out of control here. And he is slowly teching into carrier, so very nice. I did miss that. He actually is getting his carrier, so trying to make all these tanks that he's built a little bit useless, and the lack of turrets anywhere may be an issue. Let's see how he is going to deal with these carriers. Only 6 carriers though, not the most amount, but may be enough to take out this main, or at least keep the Terran on. Yeah, let's see how this goes. There's not much here to counter the Protoss. I feel like the Protoss may just be able to do it. Going to rely on Goliath just once again to take this out here. But mixed with these Dragoons here and this Arbiter, I like this a lot here from our Protoss player. Definitely has this Terran on the ropes here. Maybe going in a little too far, but maybe he's just opting to kill all of these tanks so his ground mass can go, and also not a bad strategy at all. If he clears out all of these tanks and then forces the Terran to build too many Goliaths, the ground mass can once again start doing work here. Another scan going to go down as his vessel looks like it did get picked off here. Not the most anti-air at all here, but good targeting fire from these Goliaths going to take out that Arbiter. Looks like, no, he has kept all of his carriers alive here as well. Going to start building these cannons up here. But Arbiters are back in town, but it looks like they were rallied from the bottom, so they did take a lot of damage just from this couple of turrets down there and are going to die almost immediately. Continuing to build carriers, going to transition into fully massed carriers here. He needs to send these ground units in to support these carriers as much as he can, so the carriers aren't just fighting one-on-one versus the Goliaths. Because in just in an open area like this, when they're not using the chokes around the map, Goliaths don't do the worst here. Needs to make sure, yeah, that he's not moving the carriers with interceptors too far in there to their own death here. But it looks like the Terran has maxed back out here and is going to be able to reclaim his choke here. These carriers, I don't like that they're just jumping in here. They need to be abusing the space here. They could definitely pick off these 2 command centers and possibly pick off this main. So maybe a little bit of a misstep there from our Protoss player. And the Terran now somehow is going to be able to counterattack, and there's just nothing over here at all. I feel like the Terran must have scanned that and seen that there's just nothing over here, and he's going to start counterattacking out of nowhere. I don't even know how that happened. Just suddenly the carriers didn't do enough damage. Yeah, again, I don't know exactly how he's doing this. A very good read by Defjam. I feel like he must have just scanned that and seen the vulnerability, knowing that he doesn't quite need these tanks at home now, as all of the supply of the Protoss is in carriers. And he's just going to send it over to the main, going to start targeting down the main. Nothing here stopping these carriers other than just a couple, or these tanks, other than a couple tanks, and the main is going to go down here. Most of the probes have died as well. So just out of nowhere, Defjam does counter and just suddenly is back in the lead now. He's still going to have to deal with a mass Protoss army. I do believe he's just going to remax into carriers and ground units here. But interceptors do cost money, and he is eventually going to run out of gas here. Only 3 carriers back at home, trying to prevent this from happening. And yeah, did he lose all of his other carriers? Did I just miss that? Did all of these Goliaths take out all of his carriers, and he just has nothing now? Down to 100 supply to 200. Defjam just somehow, some way, gosuing that up and holding on, and then just instantly counterattack the second he smelled vulnerability. Very nicely done by Defjam. It looks like he's now going to take this game here. Just has his factories up and going. And yeah, very nicely done by Defjam. Holy shite. That was impressive. He won without me even realizing it. I was watching the entire time. Really felt like the Protoss had a way bigger lead than he did, but maybe he just overproduced carriers Trying to rebuild his Nexus up here so he can maybe get his economy going again, but his Terran vs Protoss is really good. Iamsorry definitely played very well, but just one little misstep it seemed, and he lost. Craziness. GG there for Defjam. Very nicely done. Yeah, that was definitely impressive. You can see he even lifted those commands there to start building turrets as he know that would be a vulnerability. And yeah, well done. Very well done. Stayed calm and collected. Didn't make any mistakes during that defense. Even though he was down 100 to 200 supply, he managed to hold on. I feel like the biggest mistake for Blue was he just didn't go for drops at all. He just skipped that. He went from mass right into carriers without even attempting any kind of drops. It just doesn't take that much supply or anything to get those drops going. Definitely was an opportunity for him to even reaver drop at that point when he was taking out all those mains. So I feel like that was Iamsorry's biggest mistake there, and he may just live to regret that in game number 3. You don't want to be down 2-0 to someone as good as Defjam. But yeah, Defjam made that look a lot easier than I feel like it was, because it felt like he was in a real sticky spot there. But yeah, the second he left his base, he just instantly won. Quite impressive stuff by Defjam. GG. We'll jump into the next game. Let's see if Iamsorry against Protoss again. Game number 3. And Defjam going to be Terran once again. I feel like he's been Terran quite a bit. I forget how many times he was Terran the first time, but I don't think he's too upset about that. His Terran seems to be real strong. Doesn't seem to worry too much versus T versus P. And now he's going to be up against a Zerg in the top right spot, and he will be very, very close. So we know he likes to scout very early and very quickly. So we'll see if he's going to go for some kind of super aggression versus the Zerg, and we'll see how well Iamsorry can hold on in these early games. Opting to build a supply depot on the side here, and going right into a barracks versus, of course, a hatchery first. So nothing too out of the ordinary for the openings for these two players. And we shall see. We just have to wait for this first couple of minutes while these players get their build orders up. I'm going to throw down that spawning pool down right away. All standard stuff here. Nothing too aggressive from either player. No quick zerglings. No quick bunker rushes. Our Overlord going to come out here in the middle, see if he can spot any Protoss mid-build. Going to not opt to go across the map in case he is up against a Terran, but the Terran is going to be able to scout the Zerg almost immediately, and we'll see how this goes. This is a very scary spot for the Zerg player. You just don't want to be pressured this early. He's only building a single sunken colony right now too, so playing a little bit greedy. Usually you do want to throw down 2 sunkens, but he's opting to build 6 zerglings out here. Going to at least push this first initial pressure back. Defjam going to be very gosu and pull these marines back, not to just let them die for no reason. Going to try to rally them around here, but they are all going to get picked off regardless. Reinforcements do arrive. Very nice micro here from the Terran player. They're going to opt to run away as he builds another sunken colony to push out a little bit farther. Back at home, we do see a gas and a quick armory, so not going to go for the double factory. Oh, he's going to go for a pretty quick factory here before stim pack. We'll see if he goes for a double factory. I think he needs another geyser if he's going to do that. It's possible he might go for the 1 gas and the stim, which is another very aggressive build here that is absolutely not bad idea at all. See how he opts to play this. Yeah, he's going to go for that stim, so I feel like he's going to go for that 1 factory. Probably going to throw down another barracks instead of that factory and go right into the starport. Getting that 2nd gas up now. Going to try to push back some of these creep colonies. Going to be just in range of that. Going to keep that alive. Try to pick off that drone, but takes a couple pot shots for their troubles. They're trying to push out this choke as far as possible to buy him as much time to react. He does have a layer going up almost immediately here. Going to want to get those lurkers out, or possibly mutas. I feel like lurkers are the more safer option. See if he's going to go for that starport, or if he's going to opt to... No, he's going to go for another factory, so it is a very slow 2nd factory here. Getting that 3rd gas out now. Did he get stim? I don't know if he must have gotten stim. I must have just missed that, or I must have said it and just forgot. He does have a lot of medics out here. Yeah, and we do hear that stim going now. So he is going to try to get some pressure here. I feel like there is too many sunken colonies for this small amount of marine medic. Needs a couple more medics and a couple more marines to do a death blow. But that is why the Zerg likes to push these out in front. Going to give them enough time to react to what the Terran's player, and he can build some sunkens back here. Looks like he's going to try to rebuild this wall here. All these sunkens are going to be vulnerable to these tanks if he does decide to throw up it at the ledge here. Throwing down that starport now. No more additional barracks and no command center, so he is going for something super aggressive here. Does not want this game to go on any longer than it needs to. Especially with this close positions. The Spire, oh yeah, she is throwing down a Spire, so he's going to skip Lurkers completely and go for the Spire into Guardians here. That Queen's Nest also thrown down, so a little bit of... Actually, you know what, that's not a bad idea at all. Since they're so close to each other, he can harass with his mutas while he gets that Guardian tech up. But the push is coming in here. He does need to stay alive for it here. Does have quite a bit of minerals here. I feel like he is saving up for the muta, for the Spire to finish. He is saving up the larva, but he could be saving up a little bit too early. The hive is going down here. Going to stay alive once again. Does have just enough sunken, so he is actually playing this really, really well here. Just enough sunken to stay alive. Didn't overbuild any of them. 2 sunkens are going to die here to those 4 marines that are stemmed up here. Getting a little bit worried for him. These reinforcements are going to be enough to take down these 2 sunkens. I feel like he does need to get a couple of these sunkens down. Muta production. No, is muta production? Is he building mutas? No, he is not building mutas yet, so he wasn't actually saving up his minerals for that. I feel like he does have to build some drones here to stay alive here, as these marines are getting closer and closer. Maybe just not quite enough, maybe a little too confident in his choke area. These stim marines are now breaking through here, and there is nothing behind at all here. The hive is not yet done. He is throwing down now some sunkens back at home here, as he realizes he may have just been a little too greedy here, and the marines are out here. We'll see how well his muta micro is, because he can stay alive here. There is a couple sunkens building. Is pulling the... I don't know if that is a good idea. Pulling the drones. Siege tank is in range of these other drones, and gonna take out one. Mutas do pop out just in time to save him here. The Terran did run by that choke, so the Zerg is going to have an opportunity to rebuild his choke here. So he does stay alive, thankfully here. Going to try to get some counter pressure here. Only 1 turret and a couple of marines here, so he definitely can do some counter pressure here while his Greater Spire completes. A vessel also potentially going to be taken out. He does need to rebuild his drones. He's building some Scourges now. The decisions now, you have to just make all good decisions here. Is he going to try to defend here, or is he going to try to counterattack? Marines now taking out that choke. Wasn't able to rebuild that, did not have enough time. His Greater Spire is being built now, is going to have at least 6 Guardians able, if he can get that gas up. Not many drones collecting, as all of his, he did lose like, what, 12 drones there, trying to pull them out just to save himself here. Lots of barracks being thrown down at home, upgrades going, still only on 2 starports. The 6 mutas are going to try to counterattack here, but the Terran is in the Zerg base, and you do not want that as a Zerg player. Very nice hit by those scores. They're going to be able to take that vessel out, singular. The Spire just can't be done soon enough here. Losing mutas, trying to do that gosu micro, but he's missing the shots each time, pulling them back a little bit too early. The 5 Guardians are going to be built, but is it too late? These tanks may be able to siege up in range of these drones here. These Marines staying alive, picking off all these sunkens, and it's not looking the best. He is even running around here to target these Guardians before they can build. Takes out 1. May take out 2. He does take out 2 before they're even spawned here. The tanks get some shots off, kills 14 drones there, and the Zerg is just in a miserable spot here. Yeah, Marines may be enough in this situation to take out with Guardians. Guardians are pretty good, but may not be enough. 7 drones down to the wire. Smartly, Defjam pulls back his Marines to regroup with another army to go in all together. And he knows he has a Zerg on the ropes. It's going to take a miracle for this Zerg to recover. No Defilers anywhere to be seen. Just going to rely 100% on Guardians. Factories being thrown down. He does like to use his Goliath to do the counter air instead of getting any Valkyries or anything. Seems to be Def Jam's preference. And yeah, we are seeing another attack in here. Marines are going to be enough to target down these Guardians, as there just isn't enough sunken support. Tanks, once again, going to be sieged up in range of these workers, going to be able to target them down and just totally stifle that Zerg economy. And it looks like Defjam is going to take a nice 3-0 as Terran versus Iamsorry. Just a matter of time before he GG's. Just a matter of time. There we go. GG. Very nicely done. On a single command center. Very aggressive. 10 minutes. Very nicely done by Defjam. GG. And yeah, Defjam advances on to the second round. Throw up that, the brackets. So you can see, I don't know who he's facing off at. I think he faces the winner of Kokanee versus Hydra, I believe, if my memory serves me correct. It should be a great matchup. Hydra versus Kokanee will also be a very good series. But yeah, we got that. GG. Scan is still alive. JH still alive. So lots of good players here. Looking to be a very gosu end of this tournament. So yeah, GG, well done, Defjam. Gonna 3-0 Iamsorry in some very nice Terran games. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.